powered by Riverside FM.
Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Red Devils Corner Kick podcast. Hope everyone's enjoying their weekend. Apologies for starting or having a late episode of the podcast. I know I was going to do something after the end of the Leicester win, but unfortunately things got in the way. But I am here with a new episode tonight. So again, for those that have been starting to listen to the podcast, thank you. And again, I do apologize for a late episode. But again, lots to cover on the episode today. I'm just going to do a recap of the Leicester win. I'm going to talk about what's been going on this week in terms of signings. Obviously, there's talks of striker issues or looking to get a striker in the offseason. Potential strikers, looking at team needs, money for the transfers. That's the one thing that's a concern. Going to talk Manu and Garnacho, as well as those that are out on loan. A topic that's been coming up this week over the recent play of Bruno Fernandes. So we're going to talk about that as well. And the one thing that's good is Aiden Heaven injury update as well. Hearing that he will be returning to training after the international break, which is great to see. Today, again, lots of stuff to cover. Today I did watch some Man United players play. I did watch the Denmark-Portugal game. If you watched it, listen, lots of takes from that game. To me, Portugal seemed to struggle a little bit. What got them the win in the end was the depth that they had, and especially with extra time. But it was Denmark's game to take. I think Portugal was the second best team, despite all the talent that they have. Kasper Schmeichel did play incredible. He made some big stops. Yes, the shot, he did stop Ronaldo's penalty. In all fairness, again, he still stopped it. And also Ronaldo's penalty was horrible as well. So it was a save, but at the same time too, Ronaldo's shot was not the best. So, but again, Kasper did make some good shots, good saves today as well. So overall, I believe that Denmark, again, could have taken it. But with the depth that Portugal had going into the extras, it was, the depth that they had, it helped them out to win in extras. So again, listen, overall, I'm happy with the Portugal win. It was a big win. They're going on to the semifinals against Germany in Nations League, which I'm great for. That's more game time in the summer, especially with the season ending at the end of May-ish, potentially beginning of June. You get a couple of days off, and then you're off to the international break for that semifinal, and then potentially that final that weekend. That's same week as well. The 4th and the 5th are the semifinals for the Nations League for UEFA. So we have that going on. That wasn't the only game I caught today. I shouldn't say caught a glimpse. I did watch the full 120 minutes. Well, I would say probably 140 minutes when you include the extras. But overall, again, the Portugal game was good. Did watch the Canada game as well. They were playing for third place. Their Nations League CONCACAF, they won 2-1 against the US. So we did see that. Jonathan David, who I will be talking about, did score. He just ended up scoring the winning goal. So that did happen. Jesse Marsh got a red card, so he was taken out of the game. Did lose his, I won't say he lost his temper. I think it was a little unnecessary, especially when you looked at what had happened with David. He slipped. He thought it was a penalty. There has been some calls against Canada that you can question. They did play Mexico and lost in that semi, but it's neither here or there now. But I do understand a little bit of his frustration, especially with some calls that Canada has gotten maybe earlier on in the game as well as the last game as well. So you can see maybe his frustrations carried over from last game into here and then build up into what happened as well. So he got the red. He was sent off. Canada did end up going on to win 2-1. David with a beautiful goal. So let's take the win there as well. So that's a nice win for Canada soccer right there. And for those that do watch the CONCACAF Nations League, and those that are Man United fans, you get to see a little bit of a glimpse of Jonathan David. Obviously, Lille fans are very familiar with him. If you watch Champions League, you saw how well he played in the Champions League as well, especially in the early stages. But just going to pull up his goals. Just want to take a look at that. Trying to multitask at the same time too, trying to type out what I want. Obviously, sometimes when you're trying to do that, it never really works out well. So just looking at transfer market, and just check out Jonathan David's goals here. Yes. So far this season, 23 games, there's 23 goals total. So that's not including what he did for Nations League. Take away the Champions League qualifier, 21 goals so far this season, 14 in League One, 7 goals scored in Champions League. So you see that there, and then plus 10 assists if you're including the qualifiers as well. So if you're looking at it here in 43 games played, you're looking at 43 goal contributions in all competitions. Not only that, he did score today as well internationally. But again, it was, because I'm just looking at here, 2 goals in Nations League as well, which, again, it was good to see. So those are international friendlies, my apologies. But again, he did score today in Nations League. So you can add on another goal there into his goal total for the year, which is great to see. But again, he is a target for Manchester United this offseason. So again, like looking at overall, you're looking at 29 goals and assists combined for him this season. So, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, it's the French league. Well, he scored 7 goals and had 2 apples. And I'm sorry for using that term apples. We use that as a reference for assists. The question is the type of goals. He did have 1 or 2 penalties, so you do see that there. But overall, you did see him play well in some of the big games, especially in the early stages of Champions League. So there's opportunity there. But I won't talk more about Jonathan David now because there's other stuff to talk about as well. But again, happy with the Portugal win, happy with the Canada win. Now let's talk about the most important thing that was going on. Actually, before we go on, obviously the Portugal game, the reason why I brought it up, not just because the Portuguese team that I do follow, it's the 5 United players that played in that game. Højlund did score in the first leg of the semifinal, would help that being the winner against for Denmark. 2, you have Bruno, you have Dalot playing for the Portuguese side. Dalot was okay. The defense was a little struggling, especially when you saw some of the goals. Bruno played decent. He did help get a goal off of, because again, he took a shot off the post, and then Ronaldo tapping it in to get the equalizer, which does help as well. Did help with Dalot. Eriksson with a goal. Højlund did play pretty well. He did get the start. Did have an ice pack later on in the game when he was substituted off. Dorgu, and this, in the way you're looking at it here, Dorgu has played well in those 2 games. He really has when he came on Thursday and then start today. So United fans, you're going to continue to love Dorgu like I have. So again, when he played against Portugal, the attitude that he has, the physicality that he has, overall, I think was great. Again, the penalty that he took, the penalty that he did bumping Ronaldo, which led to a horrible penalty kick, as well as a save by Casper, which again bails him out. But again, the physical side of having Dorgu does help this United squad and going forward, especially at his age as well. Okay, now that I've talked about what I did on Sunday a little bit, we played Leicester last week, 3-0 win. I was quite thrilled with that win. I really was. And then, I was like, again, Hoyland, Garnacho, Fernandes, all with goals. Fernandes with the assists for Hoyland as well as Garnacho. Both of them ending their goal droughts as well. Both of them, I think, were at 20-plus games without a goal. Like, Garnacho hasn't had that bad of a season in comparison to Hoyland, but he has had a struggle as well. Because you can look at his stats, contributions, and his physical play has helped, especially in certain situations. But again, it was good to see them both score, both end the drought. Bruno was obviously the man of the match. He was mine. I had Hoyland as my number 2 as a starter, and I had Matthias de Ligt as one of my 3. So those are my 3 men of the match: de Ligt, Hoyland, and Bruno Fernandes. So I was happy with that. Again, it did start off slow. There was the struggle. And again, it was just, everything started picking up. A lot of people expected the win. I did as well. But again, I was 3-0 is a great one. So again, seeing Bruno has been lights out. And I will be talking about Bruno after when I'm finished talking about the Leicester game, because might as well get that one off the chest right there. But again, happy with the game overall. 3-0 win going into the international break. You saw the growth of the squad get better. It was good to get a clean sheet, especially for Onana, the way he has been playing. So you're looking there as well. So I know a lot of people don't want to talk about stats, but Bruno lately has just been incredible in all competitions, not just Premier League, in all. He has improved when you're looking at the leaderboard. Again, he should be now at 17 goals and assists combined for the season, 8 goals, 9 assists that we've seen so far. He's having an incredible season. I think it's 31 goals and assists overall in all competitions this season. I believe that's his second best since he joined, or since his second year on the club, where I think it was like just over 40 GAs all over. So you're seeing him improve. We still have plenty of games to go. We still have quarterfinals for Europa against Lyon. We have a big stretch of games when we get back. Nottingham, April 1st. That's Sunday against Man City. So we have those 2 games going on. So it's going to be interesting, especially the final stretch. And again, I mentioned last episode, depth, what's going to happen. That's an also important thing as well to talk about. The depth on Sunday, you did see Harry Amos come in, Toby Collier come in. Obviously, losing Aiden Heaven in that game as well did. Again, he had to come off at half with that dangerous injury, but we did leave the game with a boot. Just found out a couple of days ago that he should be returning to training after the international break. So we have him healthy and ready to go. So that's a good thing to have. You have a young player getting back to it. He should be healthy, ready to go. So that will help. So we will see how everything goes. Again, when I mentioned last episode, the key was for this international break was to get back healthy. Again, having Heaven back should help. Euro should be back. Maguire should be back. So we're seeing that there as well. So that's big to have those 3 coming back. I know there's talks about Luke Shaw now apparently on grass starting the train. So you have the 4 defenders coming back, which is great. Obviously, Collier and Ugarte are going to be healthier when they're going back. Hoyland, hopefully what he had today isn't as serious. Hopefully it was just a little, just taking off as precaution, let him go back and be ready to go. But again, getting healthy at the right time is a good thing. So right now we are excited for that. That's what we're looking at here. But right now it's just a matter of, just getting that team going, getting them back, getting ready to, fight a little bit better. But again, the depth, like having people back does make a difference for us going forward. I don't want to take that away from anything, but having the depth there does help us out with that. So again, the healthier we get, the better it is for Champions League. Not only that, Kobe Mainu should be back. Hopefully, Mason Mount should be there as well. So again, having all those players back is key, especially with, I know we have less games now. We're out of the FA Cup. Obviously, EFL is over with Newcastle winning. But again, we're not in FA Cup, so that's one last game that we're good. So we have the 2 quarterfinal games, which we need to get through and get on to the semis, and hopefully the semis we win, and then on to the final, and hopefully that gets us a win as well, and then we're hopefully back in Champions League. Because again, the win in Europa gets us back to Champions League. But we shouldn't be sleeping on Lyon before we get to anything else. But again, having the health and the depth does help Ruben Amorim succeed with United. It does. So again, having Xerxes and Rasmus as our 2 strikers, yes, I know some people may question it, but that's what's going to happen. That's going to be there going forward. And you're going to have Xerxes playing at one of the 10 spots probably going forward as a starter. Second, you have Garnacho, so you can either use him on the bench and have him come on as well. So like our depth plus our youth is key. Youth, you'll see more in Premier League. You'll see more rotation, especially with veteran players, that we need those veteran players through Europa to help us win. So it will take time. It will, Amorim's going to have a lot of toys to play with in that as the season, near the end of the season progresses. And it's not a bad thing. Actually, it depends on how you look at it. It can be a great thing as well as it could be a bad thing. But I think he knows his squad of who he likes. So again, having Mason Mount back helps him. Having Kobe Mainu back helps him. Again, because having those players play, you give less minutes to Casemiro and Eriksen, who you can use more in Europa. Having Maguire back as well is key, and Euro, and also having, so you have Mazraoui, you have De Ligt, Maguire, Aiden Heaven in Euro as your center backs. Your wing backs, you do have Dorgu. Again, you can still use Mazraoui as one of those wing backs. Again, your 10s, which again you can use. You have Bruno, Eriksen, Mainu can play in the 10 if you need to, Xerxes and Garnacho. So you have 5 players there. You have Casemiro, Ugarte, Collier there in the middle. Again, you can have Bruno there as well, because again the up front is there. So you have those 4 as your middle. Again, I know the depth for the wing back is a little concerning, because again, Ahmad may be back, but we don't know when. You can also potentially use Luke Shaw as a wing back as well, because he is left-footed. Question is, how healthy is he going to be? And there's concern about health because, one, Luke Shaw is coming back when the team is succeeding and looking better. What's going to happen when he gets another tap or another injury where he can't fight through? So we'll wait and see on how that plays out. But it is a good thing to have depth at this time, but it's also a bad thing to have the depth because you're going to have players wanting to fight for spots. But I think you should be rewarding the players that have already been succeeding and have been playing well for them. So give it time. We'll see how it goes. Again, we're back April 1st, so we'll be back week Tuesday, which is good. So we'll see that there. Okay, so just transferring over from what we're talking about, there was talks this week, and obviously the last couple games, actually a lot of the last couple games, Bruno's stats and players, and I know a lot of criticism from the pundits. I know a lot of people like Roy Keane have been criticizing him. Roy Keane has been his number one fan, and and I state that when you've obviously seen the videos. But the question is this week, and a lot of debates is, where would Bruno Fernandes rank as a legend? Because of where he is now in the stats in the Premier League. Plus 60 goals, now has 50 assists. Him and he's part of him included 6 Premier players from Manchester United. Sorry, I should repeat that. He joins a list with 5 others, Manchester United players, on his statistics. Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, David Beckham, and as well as Eric Cantona. So you see that the company that he's joining. So it's a big company that he's there. So the question is now is, and that's the debate, is Bruno a legend of the club, to say the least? Is he one of the greats to ever play? I know a lot of people are going by his stats and everything, and there are some people I do agree with and some people I don't. But also as well, there's people that you do hear say, I don't think Bruno is actually a legend. But so again, you have your sides. For me, Bruno is on his way to that status. The book is still not finished on Bruno. So we're still waiting to see how everything plays out with him going forward. Yes, his stats have been impressive. One, he's still playing at his level despite everything that's happened, the changes of manager, everything that's happened this offseason, coming into question, and the way he's handled it and kept his composure, that has all been key. But again, it's the matter of, is he a legend or is he not? To me, he's on his way. He's not there yet. And yes, he joined an incredible company, and yes, everyone knows Giggs, Scholes, Beckham, Cantona. We know who those are. We know what they meant to this club. But again, Bruno is in that category. He is on his way. He is going to be passing Cantona, I believe, on assists as well. He should be also be passing Scholes as well. Goals-wise, he's on his way. He is. Like if you look at, I was looking at the records in all competitions. Like Bruno could be passing some people in the next couple of years in terms of goals total, assists total. So in total combined goals and assists. So you're going to see that, coming up through the next couple of years because we still have him for more. He did sign an extension last year. So right now, to me, because again, his play can be up and down. It's like the tale of two cities, but it's the tale of two halves. You can use the tale of two cities as Bruno's reference point. One city being the first half, the second city being the second half. I know it was written there already, but it literally is the tale of two halves with Bruno sometimes. But again, I think he is on his way. I do like him as our captain. You can't have everyone be the same captain. And this is where I might, no, I'm going to save that for another episode when it comes to the opinion on some fans, especially with fans from the past. And, especially what's going on right now, like talking about, again, that's a title for another episode where I might just go there. But I did mention one in my first episode, there's going to be days where I'm going to agree with everyone. There's going to be days where I'm not going to agree with everyone. There's going to be days where it's going to be, that gray area where I get it. But at the same time, too, I might be considering. But again, I'm not going to agree with everyone. I'm not going to agree with every opinion. And that includes ex-players who are now pundits. That's including, fans. Like here we are, or even not even that, just pundits in general that cover the sport. And also other fan channels as well. I'm not going to agree with everyone. And there's going to be times where, if you are listening, I'm just starting, there's going to be times where you're not going to agree with what I have to say. It's the truth. Everyone's going to have an opinion. That's how we're going to see it going forward. But in the end, from my opinion, with everything going on with his stats, with recent comments, is he currently a legend right now? No. Will he be? It just matters on how he finishes his career with Manchester United and how the squad does. That's basically it. That's basically how we have to look at it, how the squad does and how he reflects as a captain, and if he can keep up the consistency. That's basically it. Listen, I've had him included in my top players of the games for the last couple of games. What was it? Not the last game, but the game before. Again, despite him scoring a free kick and having the Arsenal game, despite scoring that free kick, Joshua Zirkzee was the better player. I will see other players play a little bit better. Again, today against Denmark, he was okay. He wasn't there. Again, Portuguese team did struggle in some areas, but that's a different squad than what he has here. And again, he's also not playing the same position with Man United than he does now with Portugal. So we'll leave it there. But again, my point is Bruno is on his way to being a legend. He is not a legend now. So I know a lot of people are going, yes, he is because of how well he's been playing, but we'll keep it there just as, he's a legend. That's all we're going to leave it as. So, I'm sorry, sure, he's on his way to being a legend. He's not a legend yet. There we go. Sorry, corrective there. I do apologize, but he's on his way to being a legend of the club. All right. Part of the other things I want to talk about is the transfer windows this summer. And it kind of ties into, obviously, the strikers, with what's going on right now with strikers. Again, technically, with the Premier League, we have Rasmus, Obi, and Zirkzee as our Cheeto Obi, and Zirkzee as our three strikers. Obviously, with Europa, we only have Rasmus and Zirkzee. So we have that there. So now the question is obviously Rasmus, as much as he ended the drought, he did score against Portugal, so 2 goals in 2 games. Can Rasmus start finding his form now? Because again, we play Forest and City in the same week, but it's a matter of continuing on for the rest of the season. And the question is now, is that what's going to be like next season, or should we start looking for a new striker? Because that's kind of on the agenda for the transfer. When I'm looking at the transfer, it's going to be the same as everyone else. We have team need. For the needs, obviously another striker, another number 10, a left and right wing back, another center back, and obviously keepers there, but we have to hold out and see. I'm sure keeper, as much as we want a new one, or there's talks that Amarim wants a new one, Onana wants to stay. You still have Bayender, so I think priority-wise, it's a priority. But the question is, if we're looking at it here, I would say maybe it's a 5 out of 10 in terms of priority. And I know a lot of people wondering why you have it so low. Because again, we need goals scored. I know that might not fix everything, but we need a player to play in the system that Amarim wants. So that's what we're looking at here. The 3-4-3, that's the important stuff right there. So targets that they've been looking at for striker. I mentioned Jonathan David. You have Oshiman from Galatasaray, Delap, who plays for Ipswich, Gyökeres, obviously because of his time at Sporting with Amarim. So you have that there. But again, we don't know how much it's going to cost for Delap. It may not cost much because, again, Ipswich is going to be dropping due to relegation. So they're going to be relegated back down to the championship. So Delap may come cheap. Gyökeres, Oshiman, the prices of lease right now, from what I'm hearing, of what I've been reading, anywhere between 60 to 100 million euros. I think I saw a report today, Gyökeres release from Sporting is 100 million. 100 million. Oshiman's about around 60-ish, potentially. David is on a free. And Delap, right now, we don't know. But again, with the transfer window coming up and the money that we may not have, because I'm going to talk about that as well. And also there's talks about Sameo from Bournemouth, Mbeo from Brentford, Kuna from Wolves. So you have those 3 as potential 10s. So the question is, how much are those going to cost? And Sameo, there's rumors of 50 million for him. Kuna, there's 60 million is the rumor. Mboyo, maybe the cheapest out of the three, but with the season that he's been having with Brentford, you're probably looking at around the same, probably 60 where Kuna is. So that's where you're looking at for number 10. Again, we're still looking at wing backs. Obviously, Chelsea picking up some young wing backs from Sporting. But I think the wingback and striker are the two with our center backs next year. You're going to still have Aiden Heaven. You're still going to have Leach coming back from his ACL tear, Lenny Euro, McGuire. I believe they've exercised a 1 year option, and you have Mateus Delit. So you have 5. Not only that, Harry Moss should be breaking into the club next year, so that's potentially 6. Luke Shaw, if by miracle can stay healthy, that's 7. So you have that there. And I think Ineos, if I was them, probably look at a free to get another center back. I think this season you're going to see the center, like the transfer market, the money wise. And I know people are saying, well, FSP, the debt, everything is there. But if I'm, and obviously, like, listen, I'm new to all of it. Like, I shouldn't say new, but me trying to make a prediction and a call is newish as well, because it's hard to say. And I don't want us to fall, I know people don't want us to fall in the same area with Ten Hag getting ex-players. But you do have Oshiman from Galatasaray. There's talks of a player swap with him and Hoyland for next year. So that may happen, plus whatever, 50 million. And I'm also just taking a look at other chat. Like, I'm checking out websites right now when we're talking about it here, because they're looking at certain players for that. Again, wingback is kind of there as well. So just looking at everything here. Again, there's rumors of the agent, Sameo from Bournemouth, being talked about, how he may be coming in. Question is how much. So it's wondering what's going on there. But again, he's looking for players to fit his system. And so Mameo is there as well. He's one of them. They may be looking at some other young players as well to bring in. But again, it's right now 50 million euros, like I said. Kuna is there as well for number 10. That's potential. As well as Mboyo has been a rumor too. So those 3 could be there. The question is, how much are they willing to spend? The question is, how much are they going to have to spend this year? Which ties me to, obviously, Manu and Garnacho, because they may be the ones that may need to be sold to bring in. And obviously, Manu, we don't know where he fits. He can play well in the 10. So does Garnacho. But the question is, are they pieces that Amber would see? Are they pieces that we need to go forth? Obviously, there's rumors of Manu rejecting United contracts. There's talks that he wants like upwards to 100 to 200,000 a week. But we'll see, because again, it's like, I'm looking here. Some of the strikers that I did mention, again, Gyökeres, Oshiman, Jonathan David. There's also talks of Sesko. There's also Xavi Simons as well, if you know him, the Dutch player. We were tied to him last summer as well, especially during the Euros. But again, those players, some of them here are 80 million euros to cost. Again, I mentioned, Gyökeres. There's a rumor today, or I saw a post today, 100 million. So the money has to be a concern. Because again, if we sell Manu and Garnacho, you can potentially get over 100 million combined for the 2 of them, which is good, because then, again, it all depends on what Ineos wants to spend and what they're releasing. There's also talks of Jadon Sancho if Chelsea will pick up that $25 million tab. There's obviously stories coming out that Chelsea may just pay $5 million and send him back to Manchester United. That's what apparently the penalty is. We're wondering what's going to happen with Rashford. Is he going to be sold? There's talks of extending the loan on Antony, and it all depends on how Real Betis finishes this year in La Liga. But having that money there, so let's say Rashford goes for 50, you get another year of Antony. Hopefully, you can raise. Let's say you get 60 plus mil for the three of them, including the money that we're making off of the loan. Because again, Real Betis says they will take on the majority of his salary for Antony. So you have money coming off the books there to save. If you can get 50 million for Rashford, if you can also get the 25, so hopefully 60 million or so plus. I'm not saying it's going to be 50 million for Rashford. There's talks that it's going to be 40 million. So it's still 65 for two players or whatever you're saving off. So potentially 70 million off of three players with Garnacho and Manu. If you get over 100, you're looking at 165 minimum right now for the summer if we can sell. If you can get Casemiro sold, if you could get like 40 million for him, that's potentially 200 million. The question is, what will they do with that $100 million check or that 200 million if they magically got it? So part of it's probably going to get paid off to those transfers that we're still paying for. Then they'll go to new players. The question is for those new players, like let's say they pay 50 million of that 200 million to the player, to that debt, because again, they have to cut a check of, I think it was 89 million. So you put that 50 toward the 89. So you're left with 150. If Ineos puts any money in, or if they get the Glazers to do that, we all know that won't happen. But let's say you have 150 mil, hypothetically. That's if everything goes correct. So you got 150 million to spend. You could potentially bring in Kuna and Semedo in to the club. I would still go for Jonathan David on the free. Still keep Rasmus as a striker because you have Cheeto Obi, Rasmus, and Jonathan David as three strikers to rotate. Your 10s to improve. Not only that, Ahmad is returning from injury, so you have him play on the as a right wing back. You have Dorgu on the left, so you have two players there. There's also a chance that Delo could get sold. There's talks about players picking him up, so there's rumors of, I think it was like 50 million euros on Delo. Rumors. I'm just saying rumors. 40 to 50. So let's say 40. So you have money being there. So technically you can get 190. Let's just say they had 190 hypothetically. That the numbers are not accurate. But let's say you have that there. The question is though too, as much as I'm saying 190, are they going to get the 190 up front, or are they just going to get that 190 paid over time to the club, which helps, but at the same time, it doesn't. So let's say we got it all up front, just magically got it up there. So again, you could bring in Kuna or Semeo or Umbueo further. One of the three, potentially two out of the three, let's say. But I think if we had that money, you're adding depth to the mid, you're adding depth to your center backs, potentially bringing in another goalie. And listen, bring in the striker, bring in David. I'm just saying it here. Bring in David. I'm not saying that as a Canadian, folks. He is a good player. He's had a great year. Let's not get again, but he's on a free. Remember that. Right now, Ineos wants to save money. So let's bring in David on the free. You have David, Hoyland, Obi to start the season next year. A veteran, a young player that you can bring in to rotate because we see how well Hoyland did play off the bench. And you have Obi who can learn and see what needs to be done as he grows. So you got your three strikers there. You're looking at your 10s now. Okay? And let's say they go let's say they go Umbueo and Semenyo. Just because Kuna, red cards, there can be some issues. But let's say those are the two. So Mayo and Embleo as your 10s. Let's hypothetically talk about what your starting lineup, your starting squad could be day one. Just hypothetically. Let's just humor ourselves here. David as your striker, Mayo and Embleo as your 10s. Humoring. Again, hypothetically, if not, Mayo and let's say Joshua Xerxes. There we go. Xerxes ball handling and everything. There you go. You have those right there. But you could go, I would say go Embleo and let's say Xerxes together. So you have that there. That's your front three. Your mid, you're looking at Bruno and Ugarte in the middle. Your wing backs. You have Dorgu on the left, Ahmad on the right. Your back three. Actually, you know what? I also forgot to, because again, you're going to have depth pieces to low, obviously, Mazraoui there. But your back three. And you know what? Obviously, Aiden Heaven and Euro are around the same age. So you can have them coming off the bench. Not only that, you'll have, let's say your back three is, well, obviously Leach is not back until like December. Your starting back three would be, if Harry Maguire's extension's picked up, DeLitt, Maz, Maguire as your back three. Unana, obviously, and Cole. That's not a bad starting lineup. That's an improvement. Because again, hopefully Xerxes plays well and carries over. You're seeing Embleo, who's coming off a great season at Brentford. So you have that as your number 10s. Bruno, Ugarte in the middle, and then you have those depth pieces of moving. So your attack is already improved. Because you know Ahmad can move up. You know that Xerxes' footwork could go there. So you'd have Xerxes and Dorgu on the left, and Embleo on the right, going with Ahmad. So that's what you have there. This is my perfect world. So right now, if every transfer went right, again, Jonathan David, striker, Xerxes, Embleo as your 10s, Bruno, Ugarte in your middle, wingbacks, Dorgu and Ahmad starting, and then your back three of Maz, DeLitt, and Maguire. That's your starting three. Because again, it's going to be there. If not, it's going to be Lenny Euro. You get Maguire coming off the bench because I think it's time to give that position to Euro going forward. But then your bench, you're looking at it here. You have Rasmus, Obi on the bench, Aiden Heaven, Maguire on your bench. Ericsson's gone, obviously. Lindelof is gone as well. So you're adding Collier, Harry Amos as well. I believe I did mention Aiden Heaven as your depth, and then Leacha as well. So your depth even improves more come December. So, and then obviously we need to pick up more in the middle as well. So I know there's, Ederson as well from Atlanta that's been talking about. I know there's talk of Angel Gomez. I know there was a mention there of a Longstaff today, but I don't think that's going to be happening. There's rumors of Branthwaite, that deal going through, the United are willing to pay. I don't think that's happening. And again, our strength will need to be in the middle. And again, that's if everything gets sold. And if I'm there, I don't want Manu to go. I would like to have Manu there because he can play in that position. So again, your 4 mid would be Bruno, Ugarte, Manu, Collier. So I know that loses money, but again, I didn't say they're going to be spending money on Simoneo or Kuna. I just brought in Embleo as that one pick. So let's just say they spent the money on Embleo. David's on the free. Again, we have players returning healthy. So the question is too, will the academy start coming up as well with players? So are we going to see the Fletcher brothers, one of them going there as well? So, and again, are we going to have players that we sent out on loan from the youth academy as well to be integral? But your bench next year, again, like I mentioned, if everything works out correctly, like I predicted, which chances are it's negative 10% chance that's going to happen. Again, David is your striker. And I know fans are going to be like, well, we should go for Ocean. Okay. So, but I think Gomez is a potential free as well. So either way, um, but again, if we're doing Ocean, Hoyland's part of that trade. So we're already losing a striker. That's why I'm saying you want to go for David because, again, Xerxes going to go to that 10. He's going to be one of the 10s in rotation. With him, Simon Boyo, you can use a mod there. Because again, you can have a mod and Bruno switching there as well. But let's say realistically, what's realistically going to happen is we're going to get a striker, we're going to get another number 10, and I think we're going to get another, I think it should be another mid. Because as much as I would love to get another D, if we look at it again, if in a perfect scenario, which doesn't really happen as being a Manchester United player or even a fan, your D going into next season again, and I'll just repeat it, if they extend Maguire, which there's talks of picking up another year. So Maguire, DeLitt, Licha, Euro, Evan, Luke Shaw, and also you have Mazraoui that can play in the back. So, and then you have Harry Amos as well. So you have 8 defenders potentially going into next season for the squad. Your starting 3 again will probably be DeLitt, Maz, again starting there, DeLitt, Maz, and probably Lenny Euro as your starting 3 for next year. With Licha slowly coming back, Licha on the bench, you'll have Maguire on the bench, Luke Shaw potentially on the bench, as well as Aiden Heaven on the bench as well. Oh, and I forgot to mention, including for the 10s, let's just say hypothetically, because again, you're getting rid of Garnacho, potentially Mayo, so you're losing on 2 number 10s. So Xerxes may be our only starting 10 unless we bring in one of those 3 that I talked about. So Xerxes, let's say hypothetically, and Boyo, and Bemo, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. You know who I'm talking about from Brentford. Have him, Xerxes. Let's say they keep Manu there as well. Mason Mount, if he stays healthy. You can use a mod as a 10 as well, but I think he's going to be more of the wing back. So, and again, you're going to need a wing back as well. So the wing back, I believe, is the priority, followed by a 10 and a striker. And then you're going to build your defense. I think the goalkeeper, you wait another season. Unless you get someone on a free, a young player to grow and go with the club. But again, if Binder can stay healthy and Heaton can stay healthy, you have a youth academy there that you can go with. So we'll see how it plays out. But tough to say. But I know. But that's the question is, where does the money come from? Again, perfect world. Sandro goes for the 25. We sell Rashford for a minimum 40. Manu, Garnacho, if they're sold, combined over 100 million. If you can get Casemiro sold, potentially 35 to 40 million. If you can somehow get like a sale of 200 million this summer for those 5 players, that would be great. That would be great. It'd be magical, but that would be great. Not only that, 6th thing is money not spent on Anthony as well. So money is there potentially, but the question is how will it be spent? How will Ineos look at it? So we'll see. But again, like the price for some of these players is very high. Very, very high. So again, I would go for the free with David. I would focus on wing backs and 10s as my priority. And then if you can, add depth to your D. But again, I think we should live the D. I think wing backs and mid are the priorities for the summer transfer, and then the striker. And hopefully if you can make a push. So yeah, sorry, I should say 3 priorities are wing back, mid, and striker. That's what they have to focus on this summer. And I don't know if they're going to, but they should. Those should be those 3. Again, I just mentioned off the defenders going into next season. as depth. So it's a good thing to have. Like, again, the depth there for D is important. But the question is, they're not getting rid of Luke Shaw. Leach is coming back from injury. You have Amaz, Heaven, Yoro, Maguire, DeWitt, Mazraoui as well. And I know I mentioned the wing backs, but again, if you can get something for Delo potentially, but I don't think he's going to go because again, you need the depth as the wing back. Because again, outside of Dorgu and Ahmad, it's just Mazraoui and Delo. So the depth for center back is key because then you may have to move Mazraoui up there as well. So again, Maz is good to have, but again, having Licha fully healthy, which won't be till December, Luke Shaw being healthy, which is a dream in itself. And then you have Maguire, Lenny Euro, DeWitt as your starting three potentially. I'm just saying that right now. With Heaven and Amos coming off the bench. So as much as I'm talking about the great depth that they have, it's concerning of will it actually be that great of depth for next season? That's if everyone is healthy. And I keep forgetting about Mason Mount. Again, you'll have Mount and Xerxes as your 10s. Bruno and Ahmad could be there, but I think they'll be in their positions for the season as a wingback and as well as in the pivot for Bruno. So technically going to this off season, you have Mason Mount and Xerxes as your two official 10s. I think that's why I'm saying Garnacho or Manu, one of them may be sold, both of them may be sold, but losing one of them means we have to bring in at least 2 10s, like one minimum, 2 potentially, 2 needed, 3 as a maximum. Especially with if we're back in Europe for next year, that's right there. So again, I mentioned those 3: Kuna, Simoneo, and Mbuemo. Sorry, I do apologize if I've been butchering that name for today. But if those 3 are there, you can get them if they can. You have to get at least 2 of them, or at least 2 out of 3, or you look out somewhere else into Europe for that as well. So we'll see. That's how I'm looking at there. And again, that everything that I stated, that perfect scenario, that's basically it. But that's just a dream. What I mentioned with that lineup, hypothetically going to next season. Just to start on day one. Again, David, if we got him as on the free, which I think would be good, you can even get Angel Gomez on a free. Imagine we got both of them to United. That helps as well. Again, if they're looking at money, there you go. But again, let's say you got Angel Gomez as one of those 10s. Actually, let me just check Angel Gomez for a second here. Just pulling up there. So you have him as a midfielder. So, yeah, because again, you have him here. They're standing here. Angel Gomez is capable of playing in all midfield positions where he's preferred to be deployed as an attacking midfielder behind the forward. So him as a, you can kind of sit over, if you can play all those positions, you kind of want to have him like a Bruno. And again, having him on a free. So let's say here. Let's say you get David and him on a free. That's money off the books. That's money going to somewhere else you can get him. So you can see you get Gomez, and let's say you get one of the 3 that I mentioned. And then you have Mason Mount and Xerxes there as well. Having them on the free kind of helps you say, hey, we can kind of retain, or we can keep either Garnacho or Manu. I think realistically, I think you would want to keep Manu over Garnacho just because when you see him play, you see him always very far on the right, not really much in the middle or in that area where you need him to be. So having Manu there does help. Plus, you can use Manu in other positions if needed. So Garnacho is gone. Let's say you get $55 million for him. Again, the 65 for Sancho and Rashford. So you're looking at $115 million. Again, you can have, if a perfect scenario happens where what's his name is sold, Casemiro, you're looking at 150. And I'm wondering if we sell Delo too. I'm not saying that we should, but that's if you did. Let's say the good price came in for him as well. So you have that there as well. So I think the only thing I say is this. Maybe this is what happens. You sell both Manu and Garnacho. You get with one or two of the three that I mentioned. If you can somehow swing away to get David and Angel Gomez together at United, that's even great as well. So, and then that frees up, again, if you get one of them plus Angel Gomez to go with Xerxes and Mason Mount, you have 4 10s there. Not only that, you might even be able to move Xerxes up to a striker in certain positions, certain games as well. You got David there, plus Obi, and then Hoyland as well. So you have your depth there for your attack. Not only that, so by saving the money on the 2 frees, you can go out and get another wing back for depth. You can add another midfielder as well for depth, as well as you can add another defender too. So we'll see. We'll see. Like it all depends what happens this summer. I really don't know because again, in a perfect scenario, that's what I stated. I really did. Again, like if we can somehow take away get those 2 frees in, which would be great. If we can get one of the 3 names that I mentioned from either Bournemouth, Brentford, or Wolves, that will be incredible too. If we can get more depth on the wing, as well as improve our mid, because again, more depth on the wing helps us have more defenders in the back. If we can get like one more and we keep the low, we have 4 wingers there. A depth for Dorgu, a left-handed sided one, having a mod on the right and Delo potentially backing him up. That's what we have there. You have rotation pieces there. And Maz can be the 5th if needed, but you also have him going back to being a starting back 3. So like imagine the starting back 3 being Maz, Delit, and Lenny Euro in the back, with Licha, Hayden, Luke Shaw in a perfect scenario as your depth. The bench would be great to have. Because again, in the starting world, David would start over Hoyland. We'll just say it there. David will start over Hoyland. Then your starting 10 would probably be, if necessary, let's say it's Gomez and Semeo, or let's say it's Semeo and Xerxes with Gomez coming off the bench. So there you are. Your mid, again, your 4 from left to right, Dorgu, Ugarte, Bruno, and then Ahmad. So the attack is already improved drastically. If you're looking at that front, technically, if you think about it, it looks improved as well. Xerxes on the left, let's say Semeo on the right. So there. Or Embleo on the right, Xerxes on the left. So let's say that's our attack. That's already improved there. Even with Hoyland as a striker, having those players there does improve. The depth pieces of having Delo, let's say, again, Angel Gomez could play everywhere, but again, he'll be on the bench. So looking for another available wing back, I'm just going to look it up here again. So looking at available wing backs for the summer here, let's just take a look at the transfer market. So let's just go by position, midfielders, main midfielder. I need, they don't really have wing backs here, left fullback. Let's go wingers. Let's just show here, what do we have? Come on, load. There we go. Thing available. Great. Yeah, we're going to need So left mid, left wingers, or wingers. There we go. Let's just check wingers. No, that is nothing. Let's just say here 2025. Alrighty. Let's check attacking mids this summer. What do we have here? All right, so Carlos Verona. Oh yeah, already Juan Paulo. Yeah, there's a few players here that they could, but I don't know if it all depends. It's not really letting me pick up because again, we have to find players that are wing backs. So again, I think again for what I mentioned, I think I don't know. Again, I gave my perfect scenario of what I would like. The question is, what will happen and who's going to be sold? Because again, if you get players on a free, that's money not spent. And that is money spent on players that you can get in as well. So I think it's just a matter of just waiting and see. So, but an hour has gone by since I started recording this episode of the podcast. It's amazing how time flies when you're having fun and doing something that you like. But I'm just going to leave everything there the way it was. But I did like today's episode. We'll see whether you guys like it or not. But again, we're looking at, again, I was happy with the Portugal win, despite the way it started. Happy with Canada and their win, which is huge. Happy with the Leicester win, obviously, last week. Again, Bruno Fernandes, he's on his way to being a Man United legend. So let's think about that. The free agents, again, if they can somehow get David and Gomez together, that'd be great. Because again, they're teammates, so they know how to play as well. So you have that there. Again, the money spent. Again, if we in that scenario where Mainu, Garnacho, Rashford, Sancho, and Casemiro are sold, that's money there. Again, having Antony's loan extended helps with money less spent on salary as well, which is in favor of Anthony, which is in favor of Ineos as well. It's just a matter of just getting those right free agents. So again, wing backs, midfield, striker are the three they need to look at. Definitely need to look at if they can get players on a free, players of good quality that fit the system. I think that works out well. So we'll see how that goes. Again, if they can raise enough money, if they can get money in from Ineos or even, good old Glazer family, we'll see. But overall, again, it was lots to talk about today. So I hope you do enjoy today's episode. I do hope you guys had a good weekend as well. We're back on. I'll be doing an episode next week. I may have to reduce the amount of episodes that I do. I'm going to try and do as much as I can. I know now that we have 2 games a week, I can do potentially 2 episodes a week, especially with each game. But again, I'll be back next weekend with more updates, just talking free agencies, get international break. There is FA Cup going on as well, but again, we have Nottingham Forest on the 1st. So I'll talk about that next weekend as well. Definitely looking to hopefully everything going forward for United, but we will see how everything goes because again, players should be returning to training this week. They've had some time off. Some players are already playing, so hopefully they get a little bit rest for those that did play, especially Hoyland, Eriksson, Dorgu, Bruno, and De Ligt as well. So we'll hopefully have those players back. But again, next episode, not as much to talk about. There'll be some stuff to talk about, but I'll definitely be back getting everything ready for Nottingham Forest next week. So definitely going to be this was a good episode I felt today, but I think we're definitely going to look at a lot next episode too. So, yes, went longer. I know the episode's a few days late. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys, again, had a great weekend. It's Monday tomorrow, a new week. So, everyone enjoy your week. Again, wherever you are, hope you enjoy the weekend. Nations League final for CONCACAF is going on tonight. It'll probably be over depending on when this episode is aired. But that's back, as well as, so that's happening tonight, Panama versus Mexico for CONCACAF Nations League in the final. Will Smith is apparently doing the halftime, which I'm shocked. But yeah, I'll be back next week. We'll talk Nottingham Forest. We'll talk about getting everything going ahead for that week as Premier League is back. And we're getting set for our next match. This next match in Europa as well. So again, have yourself a great night. Have yourself a good week. Take care. Glory, glory, Man United.